I mean, you look, the last two head coaches were Jason Garrett and now it's Mike McCarthy. I mean, it's not, we're not dealing with like geniuses over here. I mean, Mike McCarthy. I, I mean, I have a lot of mean things to say about Mike McCarthy that I'm
We'll
not going to
say them.
say, but
Okay,
no,
honestly, why do you think Mike McCarthy is a bad coach? Because you seem very passionate about this.
he's. I think he got carried by Aaron Rodgers to one Super Bowl.
Mm.
He lied about his credentials and got a job in Dallas. I mean, no, seriously, have you heard this story?
I think you're referring to the whole like he had like a whole like coaching like shed or whatever
No, no, no,
that he
no.
watched film out of like for a year.
So, so he, when he got fired in Green Bay, he said, all right, whatever. I got accused of being a Neanderthal, whatever. Apologies to Neanderthals. You know, it's an offensive term now. Sorry. But the because the last 4 years in Green Bay, he was just it was run the ball with James Starks, and then punt, and it was a bad offense, and he was supposed to be an offensive guy, and he said, all right, fine, I'll get with the times, I'll look into analytics, I'll become an analytics guy. He takes the year off. He goes to Dallas. He says, I went all in on analytics this offseason. I bought a subscription to Pro Football Focus. I've been going through that stuff constantly. And then, like, after week three, like, he only could live with it for 3 weeks before he was like, yeah, I never even looked at the Pro Football Focus stuff. Like,
Wait, he came out and said that?
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
what a
He's like,
stooge!
yeah,
Like
no,
he stooged himself out. Like, come
yeah.
on.
And then he hired Mike Nolan as his defensive coordinator, basically as a favor because Mike Nolan was his head coach in San Francisco, where he got his start. Mike Nolan, the guy who wore a suit on the sidelines that one time, and Mike Nolan was sitting up in the coach's booth in Dallas, not doing anything. Um, and of course he got fired this offseason when McCarthy realized he had to change over his coaching staff, which is honestly, when you start firing your coordinators, that is the telltale sign that a coach is probably going to be on the hot seat if he doesn't start performing well eventually. Um, so, like, Jerry Jones is a little eccentric as an owner. He probably feels a little bit of heat right now, thinking that he hired the wrong guy with McCarthy. I'm not putting McCarthy on the hot seat, but I think McCarthy thinks he's on the hot seat. So they probably need to start hot this year, or we could be looking at head coach Kellen Moore in Dallas.
Okay. I feel extremely strongly about Kellen Moore. He's like my favorite college football player of all time.
I mean,
Big
who
shout
doesn't
out,
love Kellen Moore?
big
We
shout
all
out to
love Kellen Moore.
2011 Boise State.
Yeah.
They should have competed for the national championship that year. But in all seriousness, like I agree with you on a lot of points, but I think overall with Mike McCarthy, like my biggest critique of him is the dude just doesn't have that one thing you can point to and be like, oh, he's automatically going to come in and help make X better, or he's going to come in and fix the culture, or he's going to come in, make the offense more effective. He's going to come in, do this. He doesn't provide anything. And he's not even like one of these inspirational coaches. Like, you remember midway through the season, they were talking about how he brought in everybody for a big team meeting and he brought in some hammers and some watermelon and was like, yeah, let's go smash some watermelon, boys. Like, yeah, that's cool. Like, yeah, okay, yeah, that's weird and eccentric and whatever. But at the same time, it's like, is that really the best like bonding activity you can come up with?
Well, he
Like,
did that
especially
twice. They're 2-0 in watermelon games. The Bears,
well,
not the Bears.
hey,
Yeah,
they got to buy up all the watermelons in the Dallas Fort Worth area for next year because that's the only way they're gonna win more than like 6 games. In all seriousness, this is just like I also feel extremely strongly about McCarthy because like McCarthy was someone who I originally thought had a lot of like, clout as a coach when he was in Green Bay. Like and this was like coming off the Super Bowl. This was when everyone thought, Mike McCarthy and Aaron Rodgers did it together. And then slowly, once you realized like they weren't putting anyone around Aaron Rodgers to make him successful and he alone was carrying that team, you realize, oh, this fucker McCarthy, he's just sitting on the sideline like acting like he's calling plays and in a lot of situations calling the wrong plays if he was. So he literally brought nothing. He's not even like there are coaches who out there who aren't like, big like offensive or defensive minds. Like John Harbaugh is one, right? Where he's a special teams coordinator, right? He doesn't affect too much of what's going on in the offense or whatever. Like he's involved or whatever, but he doesn't focus on that stuff. But at least someone like him, he's like the motivational type of guy. He can galvanize the team. And like there's other coaches who do that. Bill Belichick, more of a strategic type of GM guy. Like these are people who affect the way your team plays and prepares. Mike McCarthy literally doesn't do anything. So the fact that Jerry Jones thought that he would be a good fit is exactly why I'm worried. I'm literally worried about Dak signing this contract, not just for his future, but the future of anyone on that team. Like Ezekiel Elliott's career is over. Let's be honest, his career is over. Like running backs to begin with only had a 4-year career, and he like basically used it all up in the past few years, and then he went to Cabo and held out and Le'Veon Bell'd himself. Or I could say we should probably say that Le'Veon Bell zeked himself. I don't know, but whichever one came first, chicken or the egg. But let me just make this final point. I promise you, Ben, there's no way the Cowboys could be 0-11. There's no way Jerry Jones is going to fire Mike McCarthy midway through the season. You know why? Because that itself would be an indictment on Jerry Jones. Because he knows at the end of the day, it will be looked at as his failure. There's a reason he stuck it out with what's his name for 7 years when they went 8-8. So I don't see them at all changing their ways. I don't see Jerry even remotely firing him.
I mean, you want to talk about coaches that didn't really do anything. There was always the joke with Jason Garrett where it's just like he was Coach Clap. He would just stand on the sidelines and clap the entire game. But no, I mean, and you kind of made the point where it's like there's some head coaches who you're like, this guy's just a head coach. Like he's not a coordinator. Like there's some teams that just hire a coordinator and they're like, oh yeah, he's going to be the head coach now. You see that all the time. Like McCarthy's very clearly like a head coach. He's going to be just as engaged with the defense as he is with the offense. That level of engagement is pretty low, but I mean, it's the same sort of thing with Belichick. Like, is he dedicating as much time to both sides of the football? That's a clear head coach. I mean, Sean McVay's about to catch a stray right here, but I mean, Sean McVay is clearly an offensive guy, and whoever his defensive guy is handling that other side of the ball. Like he's right. Not Sean McVay doesn't strike me as like a head coach. Sean McVay is an offensive coordinator.
But even McVay like has a way of like inspiring the team. Like, he's got a little bit of that leadership quality. McCarthy doesn't even have that.
Yeah, no, I mean, watermelons. He's got watermelons.
He's got dude, I could. If that's like your level of like ability as a motivator, like dude, like that's pretty. To quote Marcus P in the chat, toxic head coach. That's all I will say.
Jerry Jones just hired Gallagher. That's basically what he did. I mean, he's like, I don't think he realized that he was hiring Gallagher, but he hired Gallagher. That's what happened. So
yeah, pretty much. All right. Anything else you want to say about the Cowboys or Dak or Zeke or whatever?
If you're upset about the Dak Prescott contract, you're upset about the wrong contract, because you should be upset about the Zeke contract, because that one, that's the one you should be upset about. If you're a Dallas Cowboys fan and you're like, oh, we overpaid Dak. No, you did not. You paid Dak a perfectly reasonable amount of money. You paid Ezekiel Elliott way too much money. Nobody should ever pay a running back that much money. And I am very, very worried that my New York Giants are about to do the same thing with Saquon Barkley. Spoiler alert, they will. And it'll screw them over for the rest of for the next couple of years at least. Not that they're in a bad place already.
Thanks for watching this video from Real Take Sports Talk. Remember to like, share, subscribe, hit that notification bell so you get notified whenever a new video is released. Also remember to check out our live show every single Thursday at 8 p.m. right here on the YouTube channel. And remember, keep it real.